English translation, 353rd, contact. Friday, 27th of February, 2004, 0042 hours.
Had something else to do with Bernadette on the computer, so you had to wait, Ptah. But now be welcomed and greeted.
Also my greetings, dear friend. It was only a few minutes I had to wait. Unfortunately, I do not have much time today, because I have to leave again in an hour at the latest, so I would like to come straight to your questions. Regarding the morning watch, I have consulted with Quetzal, and we have come to the conclusion that the duty of morning watch for those on duty should only be taken over by someone else in exceptional cases, without substitution. If it is not handled in this way, then all other non-involved persons will be disadvantaged, which must not be allowed to become apparent. Thus, it shall not be permissible for the taking over of a morning watch of another obligated person in more than in an exceptional case. In addition, we have agreed that the morning watch should also be carried out in a regular roster, as with all other compulsory services, because only thus is a rule given, and only in this wise is there equality for all those performing compulsory services. For this purpose, a standby duty shall also be set up for the same valid failures as for the night watch services.
I think that is good. Then there is order in that respect too. But what has now arisen with regard to my questions in connection with the questions from Guido to me?
Your records of the spirit energy levels and their names which you gave me have been well received by our scientists.
Is that all?
Yes, because there is nothing more to be said about this, except that your work is extremely instructive, enlightening, and very far-reaching for us, and shows us ways to find the ones we would need for a long time. Unfortunately, Nacodemian's and Enoch's memory bank data are not accessible to us, as is the case with you.
Then I would like to make a few remarks here to help you understand the issues Guido and I have been discussing for years for his new book. Basically, it is about all the forms of the creation, as well as the levels of gross matter and spirit energies. Several new terms have come to light, coming both from your scientists and from me. At the same time, however, the language came to the absolute absolutum, and also the absolute nothing, the non-space, etc., etc., and so that everyone can understand what the absolute absolutum means, I would like to explain the following. The absolute absolutum is the lowest level of all absolutum forms, and the absolute state that contains an absolute nothing, as it is in every absolute form. The absolute nothing is to be understood in such a wise that in the absolute nothing, that is to say in the absolute nothing space, no trace of any kind of material matter, that is to say substance, exists anymore. Only for this reason it is called absolute nothing. In every absolute nothing, however, so in all nothing forms of every absolute form, like in the absolute absolutum, original absolutum, central absolutum, creation absolutum, super absolutum, sohar absolutum, and scene absolutum, there is no iota of material substance, that is to say matter whatsoever, which is why it is called absolute nothing. Nevertheless, within each absolute nothing there is a primordial spiritual energy, which is constituted according to the absolute form, and from whose impulses the respective absolute form has arisen. This energy is also, depending on the absolute form, an original spirit energy, the nature of which varies from absolute form to absolute form in its fineness and purity, and becomes finer and purer the higher the absolute form is to be classified. Consequently, the finest and purest energy is given in the absolute nothing or absolute nothing space of the scene absolutum, whereby I called this energy primordial substance, while I extended the term with high energy being energy. In this non-space of the scene absolutum there is only an impulsive high energy, whose fineness and purity can no longer be grasped by us.
Our scientists have coined the term timeless, primordial subsentile excitation energy existing in endless duration. This is the primordial substance before the Sean absolutum. That is correct. But our scientists explained that for easy understanding, you should use the term primordial substantial, highly arousing energy of being. From their side, according to their vocabulary, they have also created the terms ultra-subseptile motion impulses or ultra-subseptile excitation impulses.
Excitation energy probably stands for the superfine and superpure spirit energy, right? The term spirit actually originally also means primordial excitation in the sense of primordial energy. But over time, the term has lost its actual meaning and has been wrongly, and out of a lack of understanding of the thinking consciousness of humans, as well as their intellect and their power of reasoning, transformed. The real concept of consciousness was thereby displaced, which is why today, intellectual property is erroneously spoken of, and not, as it rightly would be, of a consciousness-based property.
That is correct.
Ultra-subseptal. This term stands for primal substantial being energy or primal substantial motion or excitement. Got it. Below this energy nothing else exists, because the absolute nothing, that is to say the absolute nothing space, has also emerged from this primal motion energy. This much I have found out in the meantime, and that these excitation impulses have developed out of themselves into the excitation energy and generated an impulse from which the Sean absolutum with the primal motion energy then created its own existence out of itself. The endless duration that prevailed in the absolute nothing, from which the Sean absolutum emerged, condensed itself, so to speak, into an immaterial or substantial excitation impulse, from which the entire massless kinetic or excitation energy arose, which developed a creation impulse, from which the being absolute created itself. But I did not get further. How the process of the creation of the endless duration took place is a mystery to me that I cannot fathom. Perhaps your scientists know something about it.
You are joking, my friend, because all their research and findings in this regard are based on your records and courses that you have made and are still making for us. We had and have no access to Nakademian's and Enoch's records in their storage banks. Because of your lineage, that is solely your responsibility.
Let us not talk about it anymore. A question regarding the recent earthquakes in Sarajevo, France, and Algeria. Our geologists claim that these quakes have no connection whatsoever. Quetzal once said something different.
The quakes do indeed have connections, because the individual heavy tremors caused by earthquakes cause far-reaching shifts in the Earth's interior in relation to the tectonics, which in turn cause new quakes. Depending on the severity of the earthquakes, inner Earth swinging waves are created which can extend over several thousand kilometers and even race around the world, causing tectonic influences elsewhere which cause further earthquakes. This also happens through the underground and surface explosions caused by Earth humans, whereby profound Earth tremors and tectonic influences are created, which then trigger earthquakes. It is very stupid of the earthly geological scientists to say otherwise.
The stupid knuckleheads just do not know any better, and besides they are so narrow-minded that they will not listen to reason, because they are smarter than the hen that lays the eggs. But that is not surprising if the earthlings still ask the question whether the hen or the egg was there first, although pure reason says that it was not the feathered animal itself at first.
Which really corresponds to the fact, because the living being did not come into being first, and it only became capable of creating offspring when it was born from the egg, or in the case of the chicken, which is able to lay eggs after it gave birth from the egg.
Tell me about it, my friend. But know-it-alls and doubters do not die out.
You will be right about that.
Look at this photograph. Barbara took it on the 5th of February below Seagraben at Lake Pfeffikon at about 12:30 hours when she photographed a swarm of bees. Clearly a beamship can be seen to the right of the gutter. Do you know who that could have been?
This is certainly the flying apparatus of my daughter Sim Yase, because she was in that area with her friend Asket at that time, looking for waterfowl, and she did not observe any other flying apparatus there, as she said. Afterwards, the two of them wanted to visit you again briefly, but you were absent. So they returned again and left the Dern universe shortly afterwards.
Bummer. I would have liked to see them both again and talk to them. But please give them my best regards. Here, this is the report Barbara wrote. If you want to read it.
Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you.
Ta reads Barbara's report.
Yes, I can only say that the flying apparatus was certainly that of my daughter Sim Yase, because at that time there were no other flying apparatuses in the described space that matched the shape of our flying apparatuses, as my daughter explained to me. Their flying apparatus also did not register any other flying objects in that space. If the picture really does come from the place described, and the day and time are correctly indicated, then it can only have been by chance that Sim Ya-Se's flying machine could have been captured on film by Barbara. In any case, there was no intention behind it, because my daughter would have told me about it.
Even so, Barbara will be very pleased. Of course, I am happy for her too, as well as for the fact that we still managed to get a picture when she visited me 2 days earlier.
I am also very happy about that. But now I am obliged to go back to my duty, tell you what is necessary regarding our concerns, and then leave.
Bees and boats.
On Thursday, 5th of February 2004, my mother visited me as agreed. Since I still had holidays and the weather forecast for that day was excellent, we wanted to get some fresh air. We drove by car to Seagraben and then walked around Lake Pfeffikon to the Auslikon bathing establishment. There we sat down on a bench for a short break, looked out on the partly still frozen lake and enjoyed the beautiful day. It was wonderful weather. Although there was still a lot of snow, and in shady places the footpath was still icy, the sun was shining splendidly from the steel blue sky. On the way back to Seagraben, the footpath ascended slightly. The sun warmed our backs so much that we opened our jackets because we started to sweat. Below the village of Seagraben, the trail passes a rather large bee house. There was a buzzing and busy bustle there, as it can otherwise only be observed in summer. I am recording this, nobody else will believe it. On the 5th of February, I said to my mother, I took a photo of the blue sky, the bees, and the snow, quasi as a proof of the always busy bee colony. My mother also took a photo, and we went back to the car. When the film was finally full, I already did not know what images were on it. That is what makes it so exciting when you can look at the developed pictures. When the picture of the bee house came out, the first thing that caught my eye was the UFO-shaped object right next to the roof. Nonsense, I thought, with all the air traffic. After a few days, I ordered some more photos, and on this occasion I took a closer look at the giant bee with a magnifying glass, because it just would not let me be. In the evening, Christina Gasser also looked at the object with her sharper thread-counting lens. Billy, who just came into the kitchen, also looked through it and said with a grin, "This is clearly a ship." "It looks like a Plearn ship." On the enlargement, you can see the silvery dome. The picture was taken on the 5th of February 2004, at about 12:30 hours below Seagraben on Lake Pfeffiker. Unfortunately, I do not know yet which spaceship pilot I have to thank for this picture, but I would like to thank him or her very much. Barbara Harnish, Switzerland.
One more question. In the time since you have returned from the foreign universe, have any new things happened there?
No. No news has been found concerning other human life forms, although 2 expedition groups are very busy. So far, 4 different worlds have been found that carry higher animal life, but no human life forms could be found on them.
Then one last question. When you come here for the visits or corrections, do you always come to the Sol system with your giant spaceship? I was asked about that.
No, because that is only necessary when I have special tasks to perform in this part of the Dern universe. Usually I come here with small flying devices that cannot be registered by the earthly observers and monitors.
So, this brings up another question after all. Can you not shield your great spacer from view?
Yes, but as a rule, the great flying machine is used elsewhere, and my deputy is in command of it. Besides, my visits and the times for correction work only lead me to you in my regular spare time. And before you ask, Florina and Injana are assigned to the corrective work with you and Bernadette. But now, dear friend, it is indeed time for me. Just briefly, I will explain to you what our wishes are regarding some of the work I have brought with me here. After that, I really have to go again because my duty calls and is time-related.
So be it. So let us hear it. My friend? And before I forget, I am supposed to send you greetings from all the group members, and also express their thanks for all the help you have given us. I should have done this a long time ago, but I have forgotten it again and again.
It gives me great pleasure, and I thank you all. But now we really must turn our attention to the other things. So listen.